Hello everybody and welcome to our joint Ordnance Survey and Cadcorp webinar. So today we're going to be talking all about OS Open Zoomstack, which is a new Ordnance Survey product. As the slide there tells us, it's a new vector-based map that shows coverage of Great Britain from a national level right down to street level detail. So just to introduce ourselves for the webinar today, we've got myself, Charlie Glynn from Ordnance Survey and Ian Usher from Cadcorp. And just to mention that if anybody has any questions throughout the webinar, then please feel free to pop those questions into the chat and we will pick them up as we go and then hopefully be able to answer some of those questions towards the end of the webinar. So this is just a quick image to show what Zoomstack looks like. We supply the data with 4 different style sheets. So what we're seeing here is the outdoor style sheet, and as we go through, we'll see some of the others. So we've got outdoor, road, light, and night. So this product came from a trial that we started last summer. We ran the trial for 3 months, open to everybody nationally, and it was a really successful trial for us, and it kind of verified this product for us, and that it was kind of the right product for the market at the right time. It was made from open data content, repackaged into a simple schema. We trialed different formats of that data, and ultimately our aim with this trial is to make our data and our content more accessible, more useful, and more usable ultimately. So OS Open Zoomstack is delivered in a single file, so it's one map for the whole of GB. It can be a huge time saver. Hopefully it's nice and easy to use, and hopefully some of the things that we're going to see throughout the webinar today. It's all vector based, so it's fully customizable. You can apply one of our 4 style sheets, but then ultimately customize any part of that map so it suits your own needs, whether that's customizing the level of content or the style itself. And as we deliver it in a couple of different formats, it's kind of usable across many different platforms, so GIS desktops, web mapping, mobile mapping, and also offline. So these are some of the nice feedback and comments that we received throughout the trial. It's obviously great for us to hear, and as I say, just really validated this product for us. I think for people to call it a game changer is kind of really big words, big deal. So I thought that was great. Yeah, so as I say, successful trial, and then we launched the product in January this year, and we've launched with a geo package, as I say, a single file with all of that data held inside that one file. Vector tiles, again, in a single MB tiles file, and we also have a vector tile API endpoint, which Ian will discuss today. So this final image from myself here is just one example of our customers using OS Open Zoomstack. This particular one was a company called Axis Maps, who took the data during the trial and overlaid some land registry data to show price paid. This is just one example of the different ways that people have been making good use of OS Open Zoomstack. And over to Ian now to show us what you can do within the Cadcorp software. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Charlie. Right, so my name is Ian Usher from Cadcorp, and what I'm going to do today is go through how we support the Ordnance Survey Open Zoomstack data, but then also run through some live demonstrations of the software using the data as well. So just a bit of background about the Cadcorp as a company and data. So Cadcorp has supported Ordnance Survey products for roughly 20 years. So when the OS Open Zoomstack data came out, we supported that, but we also support multiple other different formats of data, such as a master map, vector map, local, and a lot more data that's available from Ordnance Survey. As part of that, we've got full support for the OS Open Zoomstack in Sys Desktop 9 and the WebMap 9 application, so it's within the core software, and that also includes our Sys Desktop Map Express software too. So as Charlie said, the trial data was released in July 2018 and the full product was released on the 28th of January. And we've got the 3 types of data that are available. So again, as Charlie said, we support the geopackage file that the data comes in. We support the Mapbox vector tiles, the API service, which is hosted as your web service that we can connect to. And then what we are just about to put into the application is the ability to take the geo package and using the OS Open Data Manager, we can write that into a spatial database so that users can hold the data for the OS Open Zoomstack in a corporate holding and apply the relevant style sheets as the data is added through the software. So we make it really easy for the end user to be able to load the data and then visualize it in the software as well. So what we're going to do today is we're going to show you how easy it is to load the OS Open data, Open Zoomstack data, and then we're just going to run through 3 really brief scenarios. One, looking at an environmental officer who wants to produce an environmental assessment report. We're going to look at an insurance company that want to identify risk of flooding for retail stores that they own. And then the last one is the marketing team who want to ensure they've got consistent mapping throughout their website as well. So, so these demonstrations are live. So if at any point I start talking and things don't look right, if somebody could shout up, that'd be great. Right, so this is the Desktop 9 software. And what I'm going to do straight away is we're going to open a brand new blank map. So what you'll see is in my folder in front of me, I've got the OS Open Zoomstack geo package. And what I'm going to do really simply is make it really easy for end users to be able to just drag and drop that data straight into the application. And what you'll see at the bottom is that it tells us the background job has started, but it's loaded the data in, and we can see all of the data available to us straight away. So as a starting point, we get a national generalized view of all the vector data that's available. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom into a particular area. So I'm just going to take 2 clicks and hopefully I can get to the Stevenage area, which is where I'm going to concentrate the demonstration on. So as you'll see, as we zoom in, more and more data appears at the relevant scale threshold. So as we've zoomed in, we're now getting kind of our street names. We can start to see our building outlines, and we've got our towns and villages listed on there as well. And then again, a little bit more zooming in, and we can make out our train line. We've got the symbol for the train station. We can make out the train line, and we can keep zooming in to the point where we've got our most detailed mapping in the form of our buildings and our road names and things like that as well. So if I continue to zoom in, so it's a really good consistent base map that allows you to go from national level to local level really nicely, really smoothly, and it provides a continuous base map as well. So what we're really good at is reading the geo package data. So when it gets loaded in, it recognises all the different features that are applied in that geo package. So what that means is that, as Charlie touched on, is that users can have got the ability to turn the data set into their own simply by changing the themes that have been applied or turning features on and off. So for example, I'm going to turn off my contours and we'll see those disappear. I'm then going to turn off our surface water. We've got green space, woodland, and maybe our local buildings and district buildings as well. And what you'll see is that now we're creating our own image from the OS Open Zoomstack data that users will have access to. And if we do turn our features on and off or change the styles, again, the styles and the features that we've turned on and off stay consistent at the national level and local level as well. So we can now zoom out to Stevenage, and we can see where all that data has been made available for us as well. Okay, so that's one way of us looking at the data, and I'm just going to turn on our data sets back on because we're going to use it later. But what we can also do is we can add a direct connection straight to the hosted Azure service, the server that Ordnance Survey provide. So if I open up a new map, what we can do is this time we're going to say that we want to add an overlay, And that overlay comes from a web source, which is the tile data set. And what you'll see in this tile data set, we've got well-known servers, and one of them is the Ordnance Survey Open Zoomstack server. And again, as Charlie said, there's different styles that can be applied. So the style from the geo package comes in, and it comes in with the light style already applied to it. Via the web service, we can choose what style that we want to see. So on this occasion, I'm going to say that we want to choose the road style, and I'm going to click finish. Because the data is referenced in the WGX84 format, it comes in at the starting point that looks like this. But what we can then do is, if we go to views, I'm going to zoom into the Stevenage area again, and that will load up the data in exactly the same data that's been applied, but it's got a different style sheet to it. So this time we can see all of our road data. And again, if we zoom into the area that we were looking at earlier, the more that we zoom in, the more data that appears. It provides a consistent mapping from the national level down to the local level. And again, we understand how that data should be read. So if we now go into the filters, what you'll see is we've got all those features that have been applied to the left-hand side. So again, we can turn our contours off. We can turn our green spaces off again. We've got our surface water as well, and you can see these features being turned on and off. And again, if we were then to zoom back out, you'll see that they stay consistently turned off throughout the data. So we're effectively customizing what that data looks like on the fly as we read the data into the application. So that's how we load the data in. And again, what I touched on at the start is that you'll soon have the access to go into our utilities, and under the Ordnance Survey utilities, we'll be able to take the geo package and write that into a spatial database, which will make it available for a corporate holding in a PostgreSQL or Oracle database, and you can apply style sheets once the data is added into the application, so it's making it even easier for the end user to add that data straight in. So that's all the ways we can load the data in. What we're going to do now is look at really briefly 3 use cases for the data and how we can use that as well. So the first one was our environmental officer, who is producing a report. So in my folder here, I've got a PDF where he's written a report about a site that we've made up somewhere, and what they've seen is that there's a historical landfill site that is held on the data.gov.uk site from the Environment Agency, and he wants to load that data in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to our GeoPackage data. I'm just going to turn that one off, come back to it later. I'm going to go to our GeoPackage data, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Home, and I'm going to say that I want to add an overlay. So the overlay that we want to add is from a web mapping service. So we've got connections that allow you to go to OGC WMS services, and I'm going to click Next. And then I've already got this stored, so I know that this environmental data.gov.uk is our historic landfill data directly from the data.gov.uk website. So when I click Next, it will read the system in, it will read the data in, and what will happen is we get to choose the historic landfill sites that we want to add to this, to the background, to the Zoomstack data. And when we click Next, it then asks us for the projection. So this projection will be the OSGB. We're going to add the historic landfill sites, and when I click Finish, what you'll see is that the data comes in, and we've now got the site that is available for us. So the Zoomstack data enhances the web mapping service data that we're currently feeding into our application, and we can see where that data is. And then what we want to do is we want to add this to a PDF that we can then add to that report. So what I'm going to say is that we're going to go into our print templates. We're going to create a brand new print template for our EA report, and I'm going to click Next. We can add a scale for this, so I'm going to add 7,500 and move on. Because it's widget driven, it makes it really easy, so we just have to make sure the page setup is relevant and we fit that to the page. And then what we can do is we've still got a slipping map to pick where this site is. So as you'll see, even in the print wizard, it's still picking up on the different scale thresholds from the Zoomstack to display the data accordingly, which allows us to get that print correct in the terms of where we want it. And then what we can then do is we can just add a little bit of title text onto the sheet. So I'm going to say that this is created by Cadcorp. We've got a subtitle of historic landfill, and then our title is, we're going to put land north of Stevenage. So when I click next, what we can then do is we can save this as a, we've got different options. We're going to save this as an SWD, which is a project file we use within the Cadcorp software, and it creates a nice little PDF of that image that we've just created. So what we now want to do is add this project file to the PDF that we saw earlier. So what we can do is we can publish this straight to a PDF, and we can make it an interactive PDF, so we can turn the features on and off. So in my options, I've got that we can export the data sets, and we can export layers for Adobe Reader. So there's no special Adobe Reader applied here. What we also want to do is append this to an existing PDF. So we're going to go into our environmental assessment report, click open, we can say publish to PDF. It's going to take a second to create that, and then when it's created, what you'll see is that in our PDF, we've now got the text document we had before, but right at the bottom is attached the environmental assessment report that we've just created. So now you'll see we've got our the sites that we've had from data.gov.uk, but we've got Zoomstack data as well in the back. And because it's been made interactive, we've still got the options of turning our features on and off. So if we wanted to, I could say that we want to turn our WMS off that we had before, but we want to leave that on. What I can do is say maybe this time we are looking at turning maybe our local buildings off, maybe our green space. I think that one's woodland. Yeah, so we can turn woodland off. So again, even though it's in the PDF, we've still got the opportunity of utilising the Zoomstack and making it as customised as we want to, so that we can really enhance the data that we've got available to us. So that's our first use case of the environmental officer. The second use case is our insurance company who own retail sites. So on this example, if I just close this down, what we're going to do is we're going to open up a brand new map. And what we're going to say this time is that we're going to add an overlay from our tile data set, and this time we're going to use the night style that we've got available. So we've selected another of the style sheets that we've got. Because it comes in WGS80 format, it starts off in this point, which we discussed before. What I'm then going to do is just say that this time we're going to move to an area that we're going to look at. So our insurance company owns a couple of retail sites in this area, and we also know that it's a flood zone area. So we've got that data available to us. So the Cadcorp software supports lots and lots of different file data sets as well as the geo packages. What we can do is we can take BDS files, which is the retail points that flood in, and simply drag and drop these straight into the map. And what you'll see is that the data comes through, so we can see the flood is the blue and we can see the stores of the yellow symbols. But because we're using that style, again, it's enhancing the data to make it look really nice and really easy for our users to see exactly what's happening underneath. What I'm going to say is that on this occasion, we want to identify all the retail stores that fall within that flood zone. So I'm going to select my flood zone, and on our retail points, we're going to do a really quick query in my already own. So the query wizard that we have built into the application allows us to do an attribute query. So this could be that you want all the stores that are Tesco stores or over a certain floor space area. On this occasion, what we're going to do is just write a really basic spatial query. So we're just saying we want all the items that fall within the flood zone that we've selected, and we can move on. We're going to filter that data set out as a starting point. Just to make sure that it's working, we can say show, and it will give us the results back. So if there was more than 10 that we've said we wanted to see, it would list all the ones. I know there's only 3 retail points, so that's why they've got 3 in there, which is great. And what I can do is click finish. So now you'll see all the data disappears apart from the 3 stores that we've got available that fall within that flood zone. So again, as part of our insurance company, they want to then print each site so that they can go out on site and have a look and have an understanding of the retail store that it's affecting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into our applications, and we've got a book plotter tool that allows us to capture all these images, all these this data set all in one go under different PDFs. So I'm going to say, using our book plotter, we're going to say we want to page and print a page per item. We're going to choose our retail points, and then we've got a print template cell, which is our book plotter insurance, and we choose a relevant scale for the retail points. And then right at the end, before it's created, we've got different options that we want to apply. So we could save these all as individual projects. We're going to save these all as a PDF file, but we're also going to merge these into one. Or we could actually save them as individual JPEGs as well. So what will happen is it will tell us there's 3 sheets being created, which is great because there's only 3 stores that we saw in that filter. And when I click finish, it will start to generate the print templates for each of those individual stores that are falling within that flood zone. So what it's doing now is it's taking a snapshot of where that particular retail store is, but then it's also adding attributes from the individual retail store to the print template, so we can see the details of it as well. And it just takes a couple of seconds for it to create the data. And then what we'll be able to do is go over to our folder, and we'll see we'll have a single PDF with the 3 retail stores available to us. And one last one is merging the PDFs, which is great. And then what we can then do is, if we go into our folder, we've got a book plot that's been created at 12:22, so we're a minute behind, but that's fine. When we open it up, what you'll see is that we have 3 PDF pages, and each one is of our individual stores. So you see the first store that we've got is a Marks & Spencer store, and it's got the attributes that come across with it. So we've got an address, we've got a locality, we've got public liability insurance. So it gives us all the details that are attached to that store. But again, the Zoomstack's being used to enhance the data that's available. So we can see the flood zone that is affected by it, and we can also see the SVG point that we've got available as well. So it's being used again to enhance the data that's available. So that's our insurance company wanting to look at the retail stores that fall within that flood zone. And then the very last example in the case study is our marketing team want to ensure consistent mapping throughout all of the web-based applications that might be available. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to our our web mapping application, and what you'll see is that we are utilizing the Zoomstack data as a base map within the web map application we've got available to us. We've got available in front of us. So this is effectively taking the geo package and then using the geognosis, which is a web server, to serve that data out as a WMTS. So it's also caching it on the fly. So if we were to zoom into an area, what you'll see is that, again, similar to the geo package, we've got the really generalized data as we look at the national level, but as we take each zoom in, more and more data appears at the relevant scales. So we're zooming in right into our London area, and what you'll see is we've got roads appearing. Now we've got our train stations and our subways and our rail lines appearing. We then get street names, and then we've got building outlines, we've got more street names, more detail being attached with every single zoom scale that we go down to. And then what we can do is we can pan around the map. So it looks brilliant on the web, I think. It looks fantastic. So it's really quick and looks brilliant. But throughout the application, and we can, as we've said, it's consistent throughout it. So if we go to bookmarks and went to Stevenage, for example, you'll see we get the same kind of setup. So somewhere we are familiar with, because we looked at this morning, is we can zoom into the lake area that we've got. And again, as we zoom in, we start to see train stations appearing, the street names, buildings, green spaces, surface water, and things like that. So it's consistent throughout the whole application. And then the last thing that we want to show, just to make sure that our marketing team are happy with the consistency throughout the maps, is that we can say that we also want to incorporate this into our embedded maps as well. So again, maybe you've got a web page that is just telling you where the nearest schools are, and it doesn't necessarily require a full-on map. We can actually take the Zoomstack and embed that using the web map application to utilise it for, say, our nearest school sites, which will then allow you to click on a school, say show more, and again you might want to see all the attributes that are linked to particular schools that we've got available to us. But again, it's really enhancing the data that we've got available, and the biggest thing is that it's consistent throughout all the different zoom scales and scale thresholds that we've applied to it. So that last use case is ensuring that the marketing team are happy with the consistent mapping throughout the application, and then that's been done in terms of the demonstrations. What I did want to just put on the end is that we've got there's a Cadcorp user guide that we've got that's available that tells users how they can work with the OS Open Zoomstack, very similar to what we've done today. But there's a user guide on our website that allows you to access that, and you can see that. And again, you can be using the Map Express as well, so that would work in exactly the same way. So I hope everybody's happy with that. That was a really brief look at how we can use the OS Open Zoomstack from Ordnance Survey and how we can utilise it in the applications that we've got available from the Cadcorp team.
Cool.